Hello there, guys, and welcome to this late edition of Young with RAM. You know, the weekly video where I get your questions and I answer them. Of course, this week is coming a little bit too late for some reasons too stupid to start explaining them. If you follow me in Facebook, you will know mostly by now that my internet service provider really messed me up, and for the last 4 or 5 days I have been stuck with a totally shitty connection. And probably you are going to see that in the gameplay videos you are going to see during this Young with RAM. Um, well, random bad network connections, horrible upload speeds. I simply couldn't upload crap. I mean, I uploaded a 30 megabyte video the other day, and it took me 1 hour. Um, so yeah, this is stupid, and is what has happened and what has kept me out of the loop. So, before starting to get into the questions, I'm going to address a couple of things. First of all, yes, I have seen the tanks footage of the live streams of War Thunder. Yes, I liked what I saw for arcade. I'm hoping for something totally different in historical battles. No, I'm not going to put any footage up because right now YouTube is full of that footage, so there's no use in putting any more of that. And yes, I'm pumped up because of that, and in several reasons, because I doubt Gaijin is going to mess the tanks as much as they have messed the planes. But well, anyway, yes, I've seen that. I'm pumped up, and actually, I'm going to start putting up some pre-launch videos about tank tactics. Nothing too complicated. Something that, well, just some basic advice for tanks for the time the tank part of War Thunder is released. Um, don't expect anything too complicated. Will get complicated with time, hopefully. I'm mostly going to remain centered around the air tactics or on War Thunder, but of course I'm going to put some tanks and ground forces footage as well. So I will also try to help you guys with tactics and the proper strategy to follow in the tank part of the game. So yeah, that's mostly it for what regards to the intro and the explanations. And yeah, my internet service provider sucks. Anyway, let's get into the questions. First one. And the first one has a lot to do with the problems I have had with my connection. Hey RAM, if you ever get a new computer, will you start live streaming? It's absolutely impossible because I don't have the connection to do so. The reason why my connection was messed up last days was because I actually tried to increase the bandwidth, but I live in a zone where there's not good enough infrastructure to support a high bandwidth connection. And that's why basically they messed up my connection, because they tried to give me a bandwidth I couldn't, the infrastructure couldn't stand it, and the results weren't pretty. Anyway, I can't live stream with an upload speed of maybe 90 kilobytes per second. It's impossible. You need more than 1 mega per second to have a decent live stream. So no, not anytime soon. If in the future somehow the infrastructure here is worked on by the internet service provider I'm working with, yes, I will try to upgrade my connection, and then I will hopefully try to get some live streams going on. But that's not into my hand. That's not for me to decide when I do it or how I do it, because that depends on the service provider I have. I was told that in maybe 2-3 months they will start laying fiber optics in my area, and then probably I will be able to get a much higher bandwidth, maybe 10 times higher than now. Of course, I don't know the cost of that. I will have to investigate and see what I can do, but that means that is months away from even having the ability to do so. And then we will see if my computer can actually live stream because it's very demanding, or at least is what I have been told by people who live stream, that is very, very demanding in computer power, and I don't really have that great of a computer. So, well, we'll see. In the future, then the limiting part of the equation will be the computer. Right now, it's not the computer; it's the bandwidth, and I simply don't have the option to increase it. So we'll see in the future. Right now, no, no, not even with a new computer, I can't live stream with this connection. So next question. Next question actually are two people who asked basically the same. Hey Ram, if you ever get better computer, how about you doing some HB or events with Jingle, Sidestrafe, Bismarck, etc.? Would you do some tight bomber submersion or just fly bombers? Um, Bombers is boring. Really, guys. I mean, Bombers is just doing a beeline to the ground and just drop bombs and then man the guns. For me, it has none of the challenges of flying a fighter. Of course, just for fun, yes, why not? Now and then could happen, and probably will happen. But it's not something I really have in mind as something especially fun I want to do. In events, probably with subscribers and stuff, yes, probably will be something that will be really nice to have. But in formal historical battles, really, I want to be the hunter, not the hunted. Of course, the problem right now is that the bombers in historical battles, some of them, the A20, the TU2, the SV2, those things are actually the hunters, not the hunted. But that's totally besides the point. Those things are broken. Yeah, probably there will be something like that, just for fun, but not taken seriously. So yeah, that's it. Next question. Hey Ram, do you like fishing? I have actually never gone fishing. No, actually, now I think of it, I have gone fishing once, and it wasn't especially memorable. I mean, it was just fishing and staying there until something bite. And of course, it was in a small river. The fish were very small. Um, it was I liked it, but more because we went out in a trip to the country yard and saw some nature, and yeah, we were out with some friends, and I like that part. But the actual fishing, I didn't find anything enticing in it, and I haven't ever done it again back since. So who knows? Maybe in the future, if I try it again, I see something in it. But when I tried, I didn't have a special fun doing it. It was fun because of the people who I was with, but nothing special. No. Ram, do you believe that the flying spaghetti monster exists? Of course it does. Be careful with that. It will eat you alive if you are not careful. Next question. Do you watch the show Band of Brothers? If not, you should watch it. I actually spoke about it in a previous round with Yam. I think it's one of the best TV shows ever to have been aired. Band of Brothers is one of those shows that when I have kids and they are grown enough to understand it, they will see it. They will see it because it teaches a lot of things about, I think, both the war, history, and how men react under pressure. It's so well acted, it's so well written, and the most impressive thing is that it actually happened. It's based on real life things that happened to the actual men who were in the Easy Company. So yes, I have seen it and it's amazing. Next question. Ram, have you heard of Remy Gaillard on YouTube? What do you think about him? Well, yes, I have heard about him. I have seen some of his videos. It's a kind of humor that I don't really enjoy. I can see why he's funny and he's really good at it, but I don't like the kind of prank humor he does on the face of people. I'm more of a subtle guy, not in that sense. He's funny, but I think comedians should do some other things. Um, I don't really feel amused by him, but that doesn't mean I don't respect him or that I don't think he's good. I think he's good in what he does. It's simply that it's not something that I enjoy watching. So yeah, that's it. Next question. RAM updates on in real life videos. Also, are you making any progress towards new hardware? Live comms have been great, by the way, and I'm glad to see the channel growing so well. Well, thank you. Yeah, I also think that the live commentaries have been really cool. In a way, they save me time because they save me from commenting afterwards on the game, where I'm basically doing the same, analyzing what I'm doing, and the conclusions are the same. The thing is, in the live commentaries, you see me actually thinking as I go, and it's also a pretty neat thing because I think. In air combat, the thought process is very important, and to understand how my train of thought works while I'm fighting, I think it's helping a lot of people flying better. So yeah, there are going to be more of that incoming, of course. As for in real life videos, if you are asking about a vlog, there's going to be in the future. Right now, no. No, because I'm holding off for a certain landmark in my channel before it actually happens. So yeah, well, I'm going to break it. Everyone will know what I'm talking about. When I make 10k, vlogs will start appearing. As for making any new progress towards the new hardware, not really. I get some money from the channel, not a lot. I get some money from donations, which is amazing, but it's not enough to start saving on a new computer when I simply don't have any other income than that. So, no real progress in towards new hardware other than a new microphone, which well, you can see that the audio quality has gone up. This actually is a microphone that I didn't purchase. This is actually one I had in my parents' home at Bilbao, and they brought to me. So that's why now I sound a little bit better. But yeah, I'm getting a new microphone, and probably for the time the vlogs happen, I will get a webcam. I have one integrated in the computer, but I want a good quality one for the time I start making vlogs. So yeah, that's the advances and the progress I'm doing. Simply said, the money I win with the channel and the donations is going to the bank to keep me alive, not to purchase a lot of things. But yeah, I will get new things. So yeah, that's it. Next question. Hey Ram, as a note to War Thunder, what is the first maneuver I should try and perfect, apart from gaining hate at the start? Maneuvers probably is the least important thing you need to learn about air combat. The first and foremost thing you have to do is to develop a proper understanding of energy and energy tactics. Afterwards, you can start with maneuvers, but first you need to understand how energy works. And then you have to understand which are the tactical options that you have open with your energy in a given context. This is something I repeat a lot. For flying World War II air combat games, the actual flying part is 10%. It's 10%. The rest, the 90% left, is situational awareness and proper tactical calls. Because if you don't have those, you can be the best stick in the world, you can be a twitch reaction master and have a perfect understanding of air combat maneuvers, but you are going to get killed because you are going to get into improper situations all the time. So first and foremost, work on your understanding of energy tactics, and then and this comes with experience, but also from watching videos, on doing the right tactical calls, and then maneuvers. But first, and the most important thing newcomers to War Thunder should understand are situational awareness, tactical decisions, and energy fighting. In that order. And then, well, ACM, air combat maneuvers. Next question. How on earth do you fly a stock focus find any A5U2 effectively? It climbs worse than a 109 and it isn't really that fast. Well, The thing is that I honestly think that climb rate is the highest, most overestimated parameter in fighters in War Thunder. Climbing really well is a huge asset, of course, it's really nice to have, but even if you don't climb that well, it's not that important. I mean, the thing is up to which point your plane can rule a fight, and to which point you can decide when you want to engage and when you want to disengage. High climb rate offers you that, but in a very limited situation and in a very limited set of parameters. Good divers and fast planes offer you a lot more than that. Also, the Focus 190 has a lot of non-written performance attributes that the 109 lacks. It's much better at high speed fighting, hits much harder, keeps energy better in straight lines, dives much better, keeps control much better. It's an all-around better fighter, but of course the 109 has climb rate. The problem is that people don't know how to adapt against planes that climb the best, because that means that the initiative relies on the other guy. The guy who has more altitude usually has the initiative, but if he can't turn that initiative into effective combat maneuvers, it's going to be worthless. So yeah, I think the Focus 190 is a much better fighter than the 109 without adapt, and even stock, by the way. Next question. RAM, as I said before, you should create a donate button in the outro. Would be much better in the means of attracting attention. The thing is, I don't want to. I don't want to look like I'm begging for money. I don't want to look like I'm actively asking for people to give me their money. If people want to do it, they will do so, and they will sooner or later notice that I have a donate link, and if they feel like donating, they will. But I don't want to add I actually did. My first outro had a donate button, but I got rid of it because I didn't feel comfortable with it. I don't want to be looked at as someone who's asking people for their money. If whoever wants to share their money with me, and as a way of thanking me or helping me, keeping the channel alive and going through this very hard time for me, because these times are not being easy for me, well, of course, I will be more than grateful, but I don't want to actively ask for it. I don't want to. The option is there for people to notice it, and they will sooner or later because it's in all my descriptions, but I don't want to go further than that. I actually had to I took a long time before I actually set up a donate option, because I didn't feel totally comfortable with it, and in some ways I still don't do, but it's a huge help for me and I can't say no to that. But what I'm not going to do is to ask people to donate. I'm not going to say, hey guys, donate. No, I'm not going to advertise my donation page. If people want to place money there, it's because they want to do it on their own and they felt like doing it, not because I asked them to. I hope you understand that, because I'm not going to put any donate button in any of my outros, intros, or anywhere in my channel other than in the link I put in all my descriptions, because simply I don't want to be begging for money. It's not what I do, it's not what I want to do, and it's not what I want to be perceived as doing. So yeah, I understand why you make this question, and of course, yes, I know, but it's something that I'm not going to do. No. So yep, next question. By the way, is the engine controls Fight Combat School video coming anytime soon? It's totally fine if it's later in the list. Yes, it's actually going to take some time, because I actually started doing one, but then I realized that you simply can't do a video about engine controls without explaining how the engine works. So it's going to take a little bit more than that, because you can't really explain what throttle lever does if people don't understand what manifold pressure is, or how RPM works, or how the fuel mixture works, depending on altitude. So first I need to do some tutorials on how and World War II piston engine works, and then we can enter into the controls. is something that can't be addressed in a single video. It must be some of them. So I really have to set a project of doing several videos of those, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But in due time, it will come. It will take longer than I anticipated, but I want to do it well. I'm not going to do something that really doesn't cover the basis well, and for people to get confused by. I want people to understand it really well, and to do that I need several videos, not just one. So yeah, next question. In World War II, in some instances, US pilots were allowed to change the gunsight in their plane to one of the pilot's preference. For instance, there are pictures of P-51Ds during World War II equipped with the N9 gunsight, the Lean Type 3 gunsight, and the US Navy 100 mils gunsight well after the K-14 Gyro gunsight were in use. My question is, do you think War Thunder should allow players to change gunsights on their planes in first-person cockpit view? I totally do. I totally agree with this. Yes, you should be able to put whatever gunsight you like, as long as it's, of course, in your nation. There's one very funny story about the K-14 Gyro gunsight. A lot of people think that that's something that will give pilots a huge advantage, and actually it's not that way. The K-14 Gyro gunsight was highly precise prediction gunsight if the pilot was fast enough and had enough reflexes to place and to set it up for the proper distances. The gunsight had several knobs you had to toy with to set the proper size of the enemy wingspan, and from there it actually corrected for a given distance, and it gave you predictions from a plane with that wingspan at the given distance you have set up, and if you fire towards that gunsight it will hit. But it was too complicated. It was really complicated to operate. It wasn't easy. And some planes, some pilots really benefited from that, because in World War II deflection shooting wasn't such a given thing as today. I mean, everyone knows today what deflection shooting is and what leading a target is. But in World War II, new pilots had some trouble adjusting to that, and they didn't have a lot of first-hand experience to do that. If you think of it, after maybe 500 sorties in War Thunder, you have a better grasp of air gunnery than any World War II pilot, because you have a lot more chances to fire to moving targets. So people tend to shoot much better in games than what they do in real life. As well, you don't have to suffer G-forces when you are in front of a computer, so that also helps. The thing here is that in World War II the K-14 was a really big thing and really helped a lot of new pilots, pilots who didn't have a proper sense of leading shots. But for expert pilots, some of them really saw the gunsight as an abomination, something that really hampered them. There's a story of Francis Gabreski, the P-47 ace, that in the Korean War he actually used his gum, chewing gum, in the windscreen as an aiming point, because he said the Gyro gunsights were useless because air combat was so fast, and when you are actually flying a plane, you have to take care of the throttle, the levers, your control stick, your rudders, the trim of the aircraft, where the enemy pilot is, where the other enemy planes are, where your friendly planes are. There are so many things you need to keep track of in a highly complicated situation, and which is very fast-paced. Situations change very fast in air combat. You have to keep track on so many things that on top of that he had to toggle with wingspan measurement and range indicator, whatever. He saw absolutely no use on that. He rather would have a single fixed point to aim at, and he will do all the calculations in his brain. Of course, that was before radar rangefinders starting doing the corrections automatically for the pilot, and of course from then on the Gyro gunsights were much better. But the gyro gun sights in World War II weren't as great as people think. They think it was easy mode or something like that. No, it's something you really needed to understand, to properly set up, and I'm positive, I'm totally sure that a lot of people will rather have a fixed gun sight in War Thunder than a gyro gun sight, because it will add a lot more things to do during fighting than actual fighting. As for the question on itself, yes, I totally think that people should be able to customize their gun sight to whatever historical gun sight were used at that time, because historical pilots used it to do that. Yeah, totally, absolutely agreed. Another question. No World War II flight sim game, War Thunder included, models the way the K-14 guns are vertical projected on the angle glass on the gun sight correctly. When you look at the K-14 gun sight in a P-51D from above in the hangar, you clearly see two projecting glasses on the left top and right top, not on the center. Do you think War Thunder will ever change it so the gyro sight is projected towards right side of the gun sight, and if they add it, circle and dot on the left side? As for the last question, yes, I think it will happen. I mean, War Thunder. One of the things they are advertising the game as is a highly accurate representation of World War II combat, and of course that means the details as that one. So yeah, I'm thinking that it will happen, of course. But again, I don't think personally, and in my opinion, and you all guys know how I suck in aiming with some planes. I do have some problems calculating lead shots with some weapons. Don't ask me why, but I do. But I won't use a K-14. If I given the choice of using a fixed gun sight, I will use a fixed gun sight. It means less workload for me. Means less things I have to keep track on. I don't think the K-14 is going to be a huge thing in War Thunder when introduced, because I think it's going to be. I think it was good historically because of the reasons stated. Historically, pilots didn't have a huge lot of chances to practice their air-to-air gunnery, and for them, such an aid and such a tool was amazing. But for us, who after some months of playing War Thunder will have hours of experience of air shooting, I don't think it's going to be that huge of a deal, but well, whatever. Anyway, next question. Next question is actually a pretty good one. Ram, what are your top 3 mistakes in historical battles that you see most often or are the biggest and most costly? The first and biggest, and without any doubt, is not climbing at a game start. And with this, I'm including in the bunch those who load bombs and rockets in fighter planes. And as such, they are not going to climb because they are going to go for ground targets and they need to be low to do that. So the biggest mistake is not climbing. Even in planes that climb relatively poor, it's better to be at a higher altitude than a lower altitude. Giving up climbing is giving the enemy a huge advantage, and usually the enemy is not going to give you a big thank you on that. They are going to kill you for that. So that's without question the biggest single most important mistake people do in historical battles, not climbing in fighters. The second biggest mistake I see in historical battles is that people who have actually climbed, then they drop down on the first enemy red contact they see. I would sum it up as small situational awareness. If you are in a given situation and you see 3 enemy lower contacts, means that you are seeing 3 of the enemy planes, but where are the other 12? You still haven't spotted them. You have to act on the worst case scenario. They are all climbing, because sometimes they won't climb, but if they do, that means that they will come at a higher altitude, which means you shouldn't drop your altitude to go for those 3 guys. And a lot of times what you see is people who actually climb at the game start, but as soon as they see the first bomber, they all go down on that. And when the actual threat comes, which are all the high altitude enemy fighters, all the friendly team is down there shooting at 2 or 3 enemies only. And of course, the end of the battle is they get slammed and they get destroyed. So that's the second biggest mistake, climbing to an altitude only to drop it in non-important targets that you shouldn't be paying attention to because they are much higher threats that you still don't know where they are. So that's the second. And the third one is tunnel vision. People simply don't want to give up. If you are at high altitude, in a high altitude fight, and you get the advantage on an enemy plane and maybe you damage it, and he's diving away, clearly damaged, and he's out of the fight because he's so damaged he's not going to be able to stay in the fight. I see a lot of people keeping the dive and trying to get the finishing blow no matter what. They want the kill. And the mentality here is actually the mistake is the mentality of people. People tend to measure their success in the number of kills they get, and that's totally wrong. The big mistake here is that the guy who's diving is out of the fight. If there are more guys, more enemy guys up there, leave him go. Leave him go away. He's no longer a threat, at least not an immediate one. There are much more immediate threats you have to deal with. And that's tunnel vision. They get fixated on the kill, they want the kill, they won't let the enemy go. And personally, I took advantage of it a lot of times because when I spot, there are countless instances of me going straight on into a cloud of 6 high enemies, only to get them focused on me and then drag them low. Maybe they will kill me, maybe not. I will do so. This kind of stuff I only do in planes that are faster than the enemy planes, of course. If I'm in a slower one, I'm not such an idiot. But if I'm in a fast enough plane, I will go straight through them to grab their attention, and then when they are following, try to drag them down. Because they're all fixated on the kill, they all want my skin, and while I'm keeping them distracted, I achieve several things. First of all, they are on me, but not on the rest of my team. So they are distracted, my team is doing their stuff while those guys are distracted. Second, I can drag them low. They are all at high altitude. If I drag them by diving, they are going to dive behind me. And if they kill me, bad luck. But they have dropped their altitude. If they don't kill me, they have got absolutely nothing, and now they are much lower than before. So tunnel vision is a really strong mistake in historical battles. You really need to recognize the moment when you should let go. It's a very important tactical decision you need to do. Sometimes sometimes the right call is to not kill the enemy. Simply let it go. Because there are other enemies that are in a much more threatening position and you have to deal with really urgently. So those are my 3 big mistakes in historical battles I have spotted yet. First, not climbing. Second, climbing and dropping the altitude on targets that are not worth it and dropping it too soon. And finally, tunnel vision. That's actually a very good question, by the way, so glad you asked it. Moving on, next question. And of course, this wouldn't be Young with RAM if there was not one of these weird questions that I always struggling to answer. Fuck, kill, marry. Jingles, Bismarck, and Sidestrafe. Which one would you choose for each thing? Why do you do this to me? Do you guys hate me so much? Why? Fuck, kill, marry, Jingles, Bismarck, and Sidestrafe. Actually, this is a thing that I have been thinking for all week long to give a correct answer, and I think I have the best one. First, I would kill Sidestrafe because I like the guy. I mean, he's such a cool guy. He's so nice, and I really admire what he has done with his channel and the way he's running it. He's a really cool person. He's a really nice guy, and I would really like to save him the horror of having sex with me or of marrying me. So I would be making him a favor by killing him. Second, I would marry Jingles. Yeah, I think it's a solid solution because they say marriage kills sex, so there will be no sex there at all, which is cool. And also, Jingles spends all day long playing airsoft and video games, which is absolutely kind of the best thing I would expect to not be bothered by him. So, I would marry Jingles. No sex. He plays computer, plays airsoft, and leaves me alone. Perfect solution. And fuck, well, Bismarck, dude, bend over and get the lube. Next question. Hey Ram, have you ever considered swimming? I guess this is related with the answer of my last jump with Ram when I said I don't do a lot of exercise. I have to admit that I don't like swimming. I know how to swim and I don't do it bad, but the idea of spending several, even half an hour a day in a swimming pool swimming, I don't like the sensation of having, I mean, of not being able to breathe at some times. It's not that I get anxious, it's that I don't like the sensation. So it's not that if you drop me to the water I'm going to have some kind of panic attack, because it's not that. It's simply that I don't like the sensation of having my face under the water and potentially have a problem if I inhale in the improper moment. I don't enjoy swimming. I don't really do. I mean, I enjoy taking baths in the sea and in the pool, but I don't really like swimming. So, not a solution for me to do some exercise. No, that's not. Next question. Hey Ram, do you think the Dornier 335 should be added to War Thunder? And also, have you ever heard of the turbojet version? I just find that thing so cool. I think the Dornier 335, the actual one that flew, the prototype and pre-serial, should be totally in War Thunder. I mean, it should be there. I mean, it was there in World War II. It actually saw limited production in pre-serial series. So yeah, actually, totally yes, should be there. As for the turbojet version, I actually have never seen a turbojet version of the Dornier 335, but I don't think. I mean, if there was, it would be a paper plane, and I don't know if that's one I would like to see, because the Dornier 335 was a straight wing plane. No, I mean the swept wing was the way to the future, and you could see in the Henkel 262 and the evolutions of the Henkel 262, and the Dornier didn't have a swept wing, so I don't think that would work. And besides, as I told you, I never seen anything about a Dornier 335 with turbojets anyway. So, but the basic version with piston engines, of course, yes, totally should be worth on there. Next question. Ram, what do you think about the movie Top Gun? Yeah, that's what I think about Top Gun. Next question. Now a question from a Spanish guy. Cool. From Bismarck, no less. Ram, television always shows me how bad Axis pilots were during the war, and that their planes were no match for Allied material. One P-51 destroyed German battleships with awesome 50 cals. I think that all the weird things you see that show that Axis plane pilots were good, especially early war period, must be some strange propaganda that somehow made into history. Please comment. Yeah? Yeah? What's yeah? Dude, you're Spanish. Yeah is German. Yeah. Now, I know this is a question posted in jest and in sarcasm, but actually I think there's a lot of that in War Thunder right now in the community. There are a lot of people who simply don't know anything about air combat, and they think they know because they have seen some documentaries or they have seen the History Channel, or they have seen the dogfight show, and dogfights is crap. I mean, it's totally crap. There's a lot of propaganda. Of course there is. Victors write history after all. But even then, I'm not saying that allied planes were bad or good or no. I mean, what I say is that in order to give an educated opinion about air combat and historical performances of planes, you should have some more of a background than watching some documentaries on the internet. And sadly, a lot of people don't. And lately, because of War Thunder forums, there's an influx of people who go to several websites, they find performance charts of historical planes, and they extract totally wrong conclusions from them because they don't know how to read a performance chart. They are simply not ready for that. They don't know how to do it. And there's a lot of ignorance. And sadly, there's a lot of proud ignorance of people who don't have a clue on what they are talking about, yet they speak in terms that seems as if they were aeronautic engineers, when they actually even don't have a proper understanding on physics. I think that's something about today's society or culture, I don't know. But really, you won't ever hear me speaking a lot about, I don't know, um, the mathematical meaning of the number theory, because I don't know anything about that. That's deep mathematics and I don't understand that. So I'm not going to start going to a forum and give categorical opinions on that because I don't know shit about it. I think too many people are giving too many opinions on things they should just shut up about, read and learn. But that's the way things go today in the internet. What are you going to do? Is how it works. Next question. By the way, I don't want to lose the chance to say that Foxu is an absolute noob for losing this battle for us. Fox noob. Next question. Ram, what do you think about the Arma series? Are you excited about Arma 3? No, I'm not. No, because first-person shooters, even the realistic ones, I simply suck at them. I'm terrible at first-person shooters, and even the realistic ones, I'm horrible at them. I played Operation Flashpoint back in the day, and that totally convinced me that first-person shooters are not for me. The only first-person shooter I ever did any good at was Battlefield Bad Company 2 in the PS3, and that one was so damn fun. But no, I'm not excited by Arma 3 because I'm not interested in first-person shooters. I'm horrible at them. But it's actually I'm kind of sad that I don't like them because I would like to like them, but I don't because I suck at them. So yeah, that's it. Next question. Related with what I said about jet gameplay and German jets in the last Jam with RAM. I enjoy watching you fly defensively, because you do it so well. One of the most entertaining videos you have put up, I would say, would be one where you were in a 162 going against Mi-15s. Well, there's a lot of merit in defensive flying, but the problem is if you are forced into doing that all game long, and you simply can't go in the offensive anytime, it's boring as hell. I mean, there's nothing fun in being forced to avoid time after time after time, knowing there's no way in hell you are going to win the upper hand because you have no chances. I guess it might be nice to watch for a while, but the problem is that with German fighters you are forced to do that all the time against Korean war jets. And I don't know if that's entertaining, but certainly that's not fun for me at all. Anyway, I will try to get some jet gameplay, but I'm not promising anything or anytime. I will do so when I feel like doing that. Next question. Would you recommend training air combat with joystick in arcade, then move on to historical, or move to historical right away? If you are going to fly with joystick, do the move into historical battles right away. Arcade is I mean, if you do well in arcade with a joystick, man, you have some serious control on your joystick. Arcade is done for mouse only. is just for mouse. And joystick can be used there, but it puts you in such a severe disadvantage that it's not worth it. In historical battles, however, there are a lot of benefits to fly with a joystick, a lot of them. There's also some drawbacks because it's much harder to aim accurately. It's actually easier to aim with a mouse and keyboard, but the control on your plane, the degree of control you exert on your plane is much higher with a joystick, rudder and throttle than with the keyboard and mouse. So there's a definite benefit to fly with joystick in historical battles. So if you want to fly with joystick, move into historical battles right away. Really, do so. Next question. What do you think about the alternative history in historical battles? You're referring to the Krimsk map, Krimsk. I think it's cool. I think it's cool because historical battles is not going to be historical anytime soon or anywhere in the future. Right now, we can see that Gaijin is moving in a way of leveling planes and doing things in a way that's never going to produce an historical battles. So what you are going to have there is a series of what-if scenarios. There's no way that pitting Jack 3s versus BF-109 E3s, and that's happening in the game right now in historical battles, there's no way that's historical at all, but it's happening. You were actually having alternate history historical battles before Krimsk. Historical battles has always been alternate history, has never been historical battles. So I don't see why all the fuss about historical battles and Krimsk. Because people who were flying MiG-15s against Henkels 162s, what's historical about that? Nothing. People who were flying F9Fs versus BF-109 K4s, the same thing. There's nothing historical in that. People who were flying, I don't know, Jack 3Ps versus Focke-Wulf A5s, what's historical about that? Absolutely nothing. Alternative history has always been in historical battles. The thing is that now we have a map that mixes two nations that never were, I mean, they were bitter enemies, and in that map they are allied. But that's totally fine. What's the fuss? I mean, what's so unrealistic in that setting that is realistic in a game where F-80C, a shooting star, which is a Korean war jet, had a go against Focke-Wulf D12s. It's one thing is as historical as the other one, none at all. So I think it's cool, and I actually like Krimsk. If anything, because it gives me the chance to fly my Soviet planes. Because really, it makes a huge difference to be in a team with people who climb, and Russian teams never do so. So I like Krimsk because right now I can fly my Soviet planes, something I wouldn't be doing otherwise. So yeah, that's my take on it. Next question. For custom team battles, what would be the best number of players per side to give the most interesting battles? 2v2, 3v3? Are there team wing tactics in air combat? Yes, definitely there are. There are a lot of interesting tactics to learn for teamwork, and of course there's a lot of different doctrines in what regards to use of numbers and teamwork in air combat. Some of them are more effective, some of them are less effective, depending on the planes you're flying. For instance, the German doctrine in flying in swarms, in 4 units of 4 planes in double rods, which were twin formations. I mean, a German swarm was 4 fighters in 2 separate tactical units, which were leader and wingman. There are some tactics that adapt very well to high-speed fighters and boom and zoomers. There are others that are better for turn fighters. So there's not a definitive answer to that. What's the best number to do a custom battle? Well, depends a lot. I would say that a 4v4 is the most interesting one, because in a 4v4 there are usually the things are like this. Of course, usually the 4 are organized in 2 elements of 2 planes each, and so there's inter-element teamwork the wingman with his leader, and inter-element teamwork, one element cooperating with the second one. So 2v2 or 4v4 would be my answer. The most interesting matchups. And yes, of course, there are a lot of air tactics and doctrines that go with air combat. I have paid no attention to that in this channel because, for the most part, people fly War Thunder as lone wolf or in squads or one or two or three people. But and of course, it's almost impossible to give advice on team-based doctrine when you are flying with 10 other people who might perfectly be derps. Historical doctrines worked because everyone was taught to do the same things in the same situations, and you could rely on the other planes doing exactly the thing you would expect them to do, the right answer to a given call, because they were trained to do that. In War Thunder, you are put into battles with randoms, and they are going to fly whatever way they want, and of course they probably won't know exactly the same things that you do, and they won't react the way you expect them according to the training you understand. So it's impossible to bring real life tactics to the random gameplay that you see in historical battles or arcade battles. It simply won't work because it relies on random people who can be absolute derps, and usually they are, to do the right call when they usually don't. So yeah, that's it for this question. Next question. Hey Ram, why do you make YouTube videos? What got you into making them, and what are your YouTube goals? That's actually a nice question. The last one, at least. The others I have been asked before, but I'm going to answer them anyway. Why do I make YouTube videos? Well, because it's fun. I like making them, and I like the feeling that I'm helping other people. I think I have a good background on World War II history and tactics, and not just in air combat, also in tanks and warships. And I think that I can help a lot of people having fun with my videos. And there's nothing better than doing something that's pretty interesting and fun, and making videos is fun. And to know that you are helping other people by doing so. I like helping people. And also I like to improve the player quality. Makes for a more challenging game, makes for a more interesting title. I mean, a lot of people are now today better than what they would be without this channel, and I think the game is better because of that, because there's a bigger player base with good understanding of air combat tactics, and makes for more interesting matchups, makes for more challenging battles, makes for more fun games. For me, entering a game and killing 5 people who didn't know how to find their own ass is not as fun as having a game where I spend maybe 20 minutes fighting a 1v1 versus a guy who knows his stuff and having fun with that. I really like experience competition. I really like the challenge of meeting people who really know their stuff. For me, it's fun. And I think I'm helping improving the quality of the game by improving the player base quality and understanding of the air combat. So that's why I do what I do. What got me into making them? Actually, Jingles got me into that. Back in the day, 8 months ago, Jingles put a video up about Soviet fighters and how he hated the Yaks because he didn't see any good in them. And I was like, what? Yak fighters are great! So I made a crappy video response of horrible quality and with my spectacular English that if today is hard to understand, back then it was absolutely impossible to understand. But I made a video about that, and surprisingly got some attention, very small attention, maybe 100 views or something like that, and made me think that maybe I could start making videos giving people advice about how to have fun in War Thunder, because by then I had realized that in War Thunder real life tactics work very well and simulator tactics work very well. You have energy tactics really translate very well into War Thunder. So I thought that maybe I could help people understanding air combat mechanics, which is something that you don't find in a lot of places in internet today. So I started doing that, and it was because of Ingles. He made a video I wanted to answer to. I made my first ever video as an answer to that one. People got interested in that video and asked me if I was interested in doing more. I did more, and here we are. So that's what got me started. And what are my goals in YouTube? Well, in all honesty, and given my situation right now, because I don't have a job, I lost my job because the business I worked for went kaboom. I would love for this channel to make it jingles, to go viral, to have 100,000 subscribers, and to make me enough money to live out of it. Of course, that's wishful thinking. You never know if it's going to happen or not. So I don't really set a goal to do that. Right now my goals for the channel is to make it interesting, to move with the game, with War Thunder, to move with the times and games, because now and then I put some other game and gameplay in this channel about other games. And my goals is to, well, keep on growing, keep on putting up entertaining content, improve my English, hopefully, and helping people. And if by doing so I somehow reach the point where I can make a living out of this, well, it will be a dream come true. But I don't set that as a goal because it doesn't depend on me. Depends on luck, depends on competition, depends on people, depends on how people perceive me. And also depends on people spreading the word. And you never know what's going to be viral and what not. You never know which channel is going to make it big and what not. So I never set that as a goal. It's a possibility. Well, I hope it is. But it's a goal? No. My goal is to make this channel what it is, and to have you guys enjoying it and me having fun doing it, which currently I do. So yeah, that's my goal. And yeah, next and last question of the day. RAM. From what was shown at the showcase of tank gameplay at Igromir. When tanks come out and all of a sudden there are friends and enemies running around on the ground as well as in the air, do you think your strategies will change or alter slightly to accommodate the fact that there are friendlies on the ground driven by human players highly vulnerable to the air? This is a highly interesting question. Because I do think that if in historical battles there's also joint tank air gameplay, the whole meta of the historical battles game mode is going to change. Right now it's all about climbing the highest. After that happens, probably it will be about protecting ground troops, and suddenly you will find a lot of different interesting things that should influence your decisions in the game. Because to win the game, ground forces will need to win the game as well, not just the air. Because if all the planes are killed, the guys in the ground forces still can win the battle for you. So I think a different balance in the game meta will be reached, where climbing to an altitude is very important because you want to tackle the high fighters first. But suddenly you have a very much important part of the game placed at ground level. So suddenly bombers turn into a deciding factor, which currently are not, to be honest. I of course think my tactics are going to change if that happens, because they will need to change, because in order to win games you will need to adapt to a new meta. I think it's going to improve gameplay a lot, because finally people will understand that climb rate is not everything, for instance. So yes, they will change a lot. In which direction we will see depends on exactly how the gameplay is and how exactly the ground forces work in the game. But yeah, it's going to change. So yeah, that's it for this video. That's for all for today's Jam with RAM, almost 1 hour, to compensate for the fact that we have had absolutely no footage for the last days. As always, let me give a very special spot and a very big thank you for those of you who have donated to my channel during this week. No words here, just thank you a lot. So well guys, this is it for this huge jam with RAM of this week, almost 1 hour long, to compensate for the fact that we didn't have any footage for the last days. As always, don't forget to put up your questions in the comment section below, and to upvote those questions you want to see answered the most. As always, hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching guys, and see you later.
When life's a little easy, the stress from the world outside, never be longer, we'll be alright.